Every time a region of the world goes from being poor to being rich, one country tends to be responsible for getting that process started. In Europe, it was the UK, which was the first to industrialize. In East Asia, it was Japan. In West Africa, it could be Ghana. Ghana has a lot of big advantages over all the other countries in the region. Some of these advantages are geography, institutions, and human capital. It's also located on the coast and has plenty of ports that can be used to ship and receive goods from all over the world. With about 31 million people in 2020, it has a large enough population to create big domestic markets, but small enough that providing jobs and food won't be too hard to do. Members of the Akan ethnic group make up about half of the population, meaning that Ghana has less of the ethnic fragmentation plaguing many post-colonial states. It scores well on international indicators of governance quality, freedom, democracy, ease of doing business, and corruption. Ghana has lower child mortality than its neighbors, indicating a relatively healthy population. The country has higher literacy rates and education than other countries in the region. It shows that Ghana has a higher mean years of education than the rest. This is important because an educated population is an important factor for economic growth for a country. These advantages have helped to make Ghana one of the fastest growing countries on the continent. Its 2019 growth rate ended up a whopping 7%. For comparison, the US growth rate in 2019 was 2.3%. But to become the Japan of West Africa, Ghana is going to have to undergo a structural transformation. Right now, the country's main exports are all commodities. This poses a problem for them. As you can see by Ghana's exports in 2018, all of them are commodities, with gems, precious metals, minerals, fuels, and coca make up about 85.2% of their total exports. Even though specializing in commodities is not necessarily an economic death sentence for a nation, there exist many positive examples of countries that use their commodities well, like Norway's or Saudi Arabia. So with wise and stable policy, it could do really well for itself. Ghana has recently done a good job of moving in this direction. Agricultural productivity has increased, which allowed many Ghanaians to move from farms to cities, where they have been mostly employed in the service sector. This has been a typical pattern in a number of commodity-rich developing countries. Industrialization has proved to be a much more reliable path to national wealth than focusing on commodities. Manufacturing is less subject to the whims of global price movements than commodities, allowing for a more diversified and complex economy. And most importantly, it encourages learning and rapid productivity growth. But when a country is strong in natural resource industries, it can be hard to ignite the kind of manufacturing boom that countries such as South Korea rode from rags to riches. Strong commodity export raised the value of a country's exchange rate, making manufactured exports more expensive. They also make wages in the industrial sector uncompetitive. This helps explain why Ghana's laudable efforts to switch to manufacturing haven't yet borne fruit. The country tried establishing export-oriented special economic zones similar to those of China, but these end up specializing in commodities rather than manufacturing. Ghana needs to keep trying. One idea is to provide subsidies specially to manufactured exports. If these subsidies were stable, reliable, large, and long-lasting, they might tilt the balance of comparative advantage. This could include subsidizing wages for workers in the export-oriented manufacturing that would allow workers to earn a decent living while factory investors save on cost. This could also mean providing export-oriented factories with cheap, dedicated sources of electric power, because generation has been a problem in Ghana. That would help make the country more attractive to investors from China, as well as a place where domestic entrepreneurs can flourish. taking in skilled immigrants, especially from Nigeria or the African diaspora, could also help build a pool of expertise that make the country an attractive destination for investments. The raw materials for a Ghanaian manufacturing boom are there. The country has an entrepreneurial and innovative talent, as demonstrated by the introduction a few years ago of the first Ghana-made car. And both China and other industrialized nations are clearly interested in Ghana as a production base for bourgeois West African market. To get there, the country's leaders will simply have to refuse to be satisfied with the recent boom driven by commodities and urbanization. Ghana's enjoyed great success. Sustaining that progress will require a new model.